welcome our first presenter. So the first presentation today was selected in the competition's open submission category. It's going to be presented by Mishra, and he's going to utilize a data set comprising 100 historical matches of event and tracking data to analyze different approaches to corner kicks through the lens of a casual framework. So Harsh is originally from India, and he moved to the UK earlier this year. He was previously based in the USA, where he recently completed an MSc in computer science at the University of Illinois, Chicago. So if everyone could please give Harsh a warm welcome as he takes the stage and delivers our first research competition.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, everyone, for being here and attending this talk. I'm Harsh Mishra. I'm currently working as a machine learning engineer at Netminer. It's a spin-off company at Rothamsted Research, which is close to Luton, just on the outskirts of London. I moved to the UK just about a month back, and I've been blessed with the great sunny weather in the UK, so really loving my time here. Today I'm gonna go through my research, which is a causal analysis of corner kicks, not a casual one. Let's know more about this work through this video example. You can see a corner being played, an outswinging corner being played into the box against a team set up in a zonal defense. Wouldn't it be good if we were able to pinpoint or estimate various reasons that impacted a shot in this particular situation, or be able to find out whether taking an in-swinging corner from the attacking team's perspective be any better in terms of producing a shot, or be able to find out the optimal routine or optimal attacking routine or attacking run that would increase the chances of a shot against this in this particular situation. This work enables you to ask those questions as well as answer them, and enables us to do that using a causal framework. Causal frameworks have been popularly used in the healthcare sector over the years, and today I'll show how they can be extended in the football space as well. Right, how is this work useful? It's a fully automated approach which takes into account various granular level features incorporated from the combination of event as well as tracking data. Since it's automated, obviously, it helps save a lot of time for the analysts and minimizes the human intervention as well. What is the exciting part about this work is that it enables us to find the root causes of what lead to shots from corner kick situations, and also enables us to find the best or optimal attacking setups, various attacking runs that could be made against in various scenarios against different defensive setups or different corner types. The data used for this particular research comes from the Ligue 1, 2021-22 season of Ligue 1, and takes into account only the corner kicks which were taken into the box, and so we've removed the corners that were taken short. Out of the data, we found there were 628 different corner kick situations, out of which 170 resulted into shots. We've also mirrored everything to be taken from the left corner of this in this particular image, and here you can see the shot locations of various corners in the data. It's important to note that the span of the analysis starts from 1 second before the corner was taken to 1 second after the first event was recorded in a given corner, or 2 seconds after the corner was taken, whichever comes first. Before I delve into how do we do this is, I wanted to mention that our work kind of stems and takes inspiration from the work put out by Laurie Shaw, where he looked at categorizing various types of attacking and defensive defensive setups that are found in corner kick situations, and extends his work to enables us to answer which attacking matchup is better against which defensive matchup, or against which corner type. It's an extension on Laurie Shaw's work in those aspects. So coming on to our modeling. So we use a graphical causal model to model our data. We want to specifically look at two variables, the corner type and defense type, and assess their change, and assess the impact of the change of these variables on our target variable, which is shot attempts. So you can see there are 3 different types of variables, all colored in different, encoded with their category. So our focus variable or the target variable is shot attempts, and we want to see how these 5 variables from our data impact the shot attempts from corner kick situations. How do we model this is tries to mimic what's happening in real life. So the assumption here is that the attacking setup or the corner routine that the attacking team follows is impacted by the corner type that they are expecting their teammate to put, and also the type of defense that they are against. So the attacking team is assumed to choose their corner routines based on these 2 variables. The attacking setup that the attacking team chooses and the corner type that is expected to come in impacts on whether the attacking team needs to make a dynamic movement to get to the ball location or not, or whether they are expecting the ball to come to the same place where they're actually starting their, where they were situated at the time of the corner kick being taken. The dynamic movement of the players, attacking players, and the type of defense that they come up against then impacts whether the defense were able to closely mark the attackers for that particular corner or not. So this is the assumption that's made here. Going on to how these variables were extracted from the data, shot attempts and corner types are already pre-recorded in the event data set that was provided to us by Opta. And we assign different categories to the different types of events that we see. Category 1 for shot attempts was assigned to all the shots that took place in the corner kicks, and category 0 for no shots. For corner type, we assign category 1, and these are like just binary categories, which can be anything. But in this aspect, we assign category 1 to outswinging corners and 0 to in-swinging corners. For defense type, the category was assigned based on a clustering method. For this, we used 3 different data points from the tracking data, which were the distance between the attacker and their closest marker, the number of attackers and defenders found within the 6 yards of goal. And using these 3 features, a binary classification was made using a Gaussian mixture model clustering to give us 2 different types of clusters that were seen in the data. Again, category 1 is assigned for zonal defenses, and category 0 was assigned to where man-marking defenses were found. Next comes the attacking setup. Here we take inspiration from Laurie Shaw's work, where he and his co-authors attempted to use the initial positions, the starting and the ending positions of attackers during their runs for a given corner kick. The work that Laurie Shaw did in his particular research was to use the initial positions of attackers and their final positions, combine them to form a feature vector for each corner, and cluster them to find different types of attacking setups from the data. We use a similar method for our work as well. Here you can see the different attacking zones using the initial positions of attackers and the different zones that were found for the final positions of attackers. The first type of cluster that was seen in the data was the one where most of the attacking players, were seen starting their runs from the near post. So you can see the smaller dot, which is the beginning of the set of dots, is the initial positions. Most of the players seen in this particular corner type were seen to start their run from the near post. Second was the type of corners where the runs by the attackers were seen from the deeper areas, especially and mostly the runs were made to the back post. The third type of tracking cluster was the one where attackers were seen making 2-way movements. So you can see attackers going to the near post as well as far post. And finally, for the fourth type of cluster was the one where attackers were seen making near post runs. So most of the attackers in this particular cluster were seen making near post runs. So that's about the different types of attacking setups that we found in the data. Next, for the features closely marked and dynamic movement, we analyzed the data distribution from the tracking data to find a threshold to categorize these 2 features into 2 different categories. For the corners where the defenders, the closest defender to a particular attacker was below the median threshold, they were assigned category 1, that is, yes, they were closely marking their respective attacker, and this was done for the whole combination of players found in a given corner situation, and a final binary classification was done for a particular corner. The same thing was done for dynamic movements, seeing the threshold of the data distribution for the speed that the attackers had for a particular corner situation, decided whether they made dynamic movements to get to the ball location or not. That's about the features and how they were extracted. Coming on to some exploratory analysis from the data. We saw there were just 11 goals scored out of 628 corner kick situations for that particular season. And across the data set, we found that the number of out-swinging corners were more than the number of in-swinging corners, and the number of situations where the defensive team chose to do use a man-marking scheme were more in frequency compared to the ones where they chose to do a zonal marking. For the distribution of shot attempts, we saw that there were more shot attempts coming from out-swinging corners than they were coming from in-swinging corners, but there wasn't as big a difference when it came to the shot attempts from zonal corners versus man-marking corners. Similarly, the distribution of the other two features, the attacking players were able to make dynamic movements, that is, had to make movements to get to the ball location more frequently when it came to attacking in-swinging corners than out-swinging corners. And then they had to make dynamic movements to get to the ball location in man-marking corners compared to zonal corners. And as the perception, the defensive team were able to closely guard their attacker more frequently in a man-marking scheme compared to a zonal scheme. To use these features and set a baseline, we first used the traditional modeling approach, which is to give all the set of features to any type of model that you want. Since we have categorical variables in our case, we had to use a classifier. So we chose to use random forest classifier to predict shot attempt using all the set of features. The result was that the corner type was the most predictive feature for this particular data set, but we know that the assumption behind these traditional models is that the features that you give to these models are assumed to be independent, but we know that these set of features are not just mutually dependent in our scenario, but are also causally tangled, which restricts our usage of traditional models and thus brings us to the causal analysis. So the work can be divided into two parts. The first part is to estimate the impact of various variables on shot attempts. We do this by using the graphical causal model that I initially presented to you. So here we have the equation where, for example, if we want to see the impact of the change of corner type on shot attempts, the theory suggests that based on this graph that we have, we need to condition on various confounders that which may also affect the impact of corner type on shot attempt. So the theory suggests that blocking or fixing the values of attacking setup, dynamic movement, and defensive type is enough based on this graph to assess the actual effect of shot attempts on corner types. So using similar methods, we can actually quantify the impact or the effect of these variables on shot attempts and give them a value by using this particular equation. So here, it's a very simple equation where y designates the resulting value of shot attempts under two categories, where when the variable whose impact we want to assess, when its value is 1, we want to find those values, and then we also want to find the occurrences of the value of shot attempt when the feature variable or the variable whose effect we want to assess had the category 0. And we want to do that for the whole data set and find a value, the average treatment effect for the whole data set. As you can see here from this equation, it suggests that the values that we get would be in a range of -1 to 1. Value closer to -1, suggesting that the category 0 of that particular variable had more impact on shot attempts, and a value closer to +1 would suggest that the category 1 for that particular variable had more impact on shot attempts. So similarly, we can do it for all other variables, and we can see here that for corner type, a positive value suggests that the outswinging corners, which were assigned the category 1, had more impact on shot attempts. For defense type, it was the zonal type of defense. A negative value in the case of dynamic movement suggests that the players did not have to make dynamic movements to get to the ball location to actually have shot attempts. They were still able to get shot attempts even without having to make movements to the ball location, and still managed to get a shot off. The value 0 for closely marked tells us that whether the attackers were closely marked or not did not have an impact on them getting their shots off. They were able to get shots off equally well when they were closely marked and also when they were not. Right, so we actually the previous slide suggested how we actually gave we actually were able to quantify the effect of all those variables on shot attempts. Now we want to distill that information and want to get a data point which can be relayed to our coaching staff or the analysts and suggest them the best possible attacking matchups versus defensive matchups, and also against different types of corner kicks. We do that by doing something called intervention, which is fixing the values of the combinations of different treatment variables along with the attacking setup. So we try to fix the value of corner type and also the value of the category of attacking setup and try to find which particular matchup was the best in various scenarios. So here you can see the results that we got, and by doing those interventions, as earlier suggested, the outswinging corners were seen to produce more number of shots in the data set, and the intervention and the causal model, using the causal model also supports that. We can see here the percentage of shot attempts in outswinging corners were higher compared to the shot attempts in inswinging corners. And particularly for outswinging corners, when players made near post runs, they were far successful in getting shot attempts. For outswinging corners, and again, during in-swinging corners, it was seen that when the players started from near post, they were successful in getting shots off. We can do the similar thing for similar comparison for attack setup versus defensive setup. So here we can see that, as pointed earlier, there wasn't much difference found between the shot attempts under various corner types, various defense types, and we can see the result here as well. Both the shot attempt being fairly close against zonal as well as man mark. And particularly for zonal defense, against zonal defense, it was seen that when the attackers made two-way movements, that is, when they attacked the near post as well as far post, their probability of producing a shot was higher. And against man-marking corners, when they started their runs from the near post, they were largely successful in getting shots away. Thus, basically enabling us to find the optimal matchup for various types of attacking routines against various types of defenses, as well as various types of corner types. Finally, concluding my presentation here, as I earlier mentioned, the approach uses the causal modeling and ingrains and takes into account various granular level features that were extracted from the combination of events as well as tracking data, and enables us to answer two important questions, which is quantify the impact of various variables on shot attempts, as well as find the optimal matchups, as in be able to find a data point which is understandable and can be used to provide actionable and also explainable insights to coaches. We found that for this particular data set, when the attackers made near post runs, they were successful in getting most number of shots against outswinging corners. During in-swinging corners, it was when they made when they started at the near post, and similarly we got optimal attacking matchups when they were facing different types of defenses as well. What we have here via this research is we literally just touch the baseline of what can be done using causal modeling in football space. There can be various features that can be added in this modeling approach using the tracking data. Some features could be the goalkeeper's positioning as well as the ball speed. You can even go further and add into the context the data that you get from the training ground routines that various teams perform. But I'll leave those ideas for any future talks or the time that we get to chat in the coffee break. And I'd like to end my presentation at this note. Thank you.